Yeah, it's pretty cool. It was very actually, to be honest, a lot of them were like, "Oh yeah, we knew the whole time it was going to be really good." I'm like, "No, you didn't. No, you didn't. I spoke to you before, you liar."
It took your breath for a minute.
Yeah, I was like, and then I was like, oh my god, this is really happening. And before I knew it, it was over. It was sad. This is crazy. This is so nuts.
I'm Leticia Ferrer.
And I'm Chris Alexander.
And this is Totality Talks, the Solar Eclipse podcast.
It just took my breath away, the whole thing. It's really cool that you can see the corona and you see the sun kind of spewing out from behind the moon. It literally took our breath away.
A lot of people said overrated, but that was like one of the coolest things I've ever
Not
seen.
overrated.
Welcome back to Totality Talks. On April 20th of 2023, a total solar eclipse passed over a tiny strip of land at the northern tip of Western Australia. Leticia and I both made the trip to observe the event. We met many first-time eclipse observers, including today's guest. In this episode, we talked with the co-host of the Perth-based radio show Hit Breakfast WA, Allan Aldworth. He traveled overland from Perth to Exmouth to cover the most recent total solar eclipse and shares his experiences with us today. We also chat about Perth, the little town of Exmouth, and future eclipses. With that, we welcome to the show Allan Aldworth. Great to have you here, Allan.
Cool.
We met in Exmouth at that bar, that beer brewery.
Yeah, Froth Brewery.
Froth Brewery, yes. And that was after the eclipse, right? That was it.
It was.
You were just rolling around interviewing people and saw me sitting there. And for some reason, you were just like, hey, man, you seem like you're into it. How about you tell me about it?
Yeah. Then you handed me a sticker to prove that my suspicions were correct, that you were into eclipses.
Yeah. Yes.
And we had a few beers, and geez, it was such a moment of build up for the solar eclipse. So in that moment, it was all just elation and joy and just this kind of like, kind of moment, and just reflecting on it was great. It was a great day, great evening as well.
Yes. That's, the joy, the elation. That's perfect.
Yeah, it was because obviously you've seen a few more than I had, and I went up for radio for work because originally the idea came about when we kind of heard that the WA tourism was getting around it like last year, and I remember kind of pitching it to the team going, I think this is going to be a pretty big deal for people, but we're not 100% sure, but the government's putting some cash in it, so maybe we should go, because we do cover this whole state of Western Australia. So we're like, yeah, let's put the effort in. Then it kind of just didn't really go anywhere. We're like, oh, is this going to happen or not? Heard some last minute tickets went on sale. I said, you know what? I'm just going to buy them myself, and I'll just cover it for work myself, because I just want to check this out. It's, it's in my backyard, essentially. It's only a 14-hour drive. It should be okay.
No problem.
And then, work got behind it. And next thing you know, we're in Exmouth and, experiencing a moment that was just, as you said, it was perfect. It was incredible.
Yeah, that is wild. So they originally were going to do a big production, and then it just kind of fizzled out, and then you decided to take it on yourself?
Yeah, it was kind of one of those ones where there was no plan. It was like, oh, yeah, we should totally do something with that. And it was like, yeah, we should. And then, like, you kind of have a meeting, and then you forget about it. Other stuff comes up, We're always pretty busy. And then it was like, well, that eclipse isn't going anywhere. It's still going to happen on that day at that time. Like, do we want to do something? And, I just kind of pushed for it. And then, the whole team was like, let's do it. So we rented out a camper van, got one last minute, and just, drove up there, me and my breakfast co-host Carly and our producer Shelby, and just drove there and, got to experience it all, and ended up broadcasting from that Froth Brewery where we actually had those beers every morning. It was great.
And so what's the name of the show?
So it's Hit Breakfast with Allan and Carly. And we broadcast from Perth, but go right across Western Australia regionally. We also go into like Mix 94.5 and a few other little stations. So it's cool. Very cool.
So what's the general theme or genre of the show? Is it morning news or morning fun?
Yeah, it's I think that's what you guys call morning zoo style as for American radio. Like two people chatting about everything that's pop culture and everything else in between.
All
We
right.
do cover a lot of what's happening in our state on a kind of fun level. Coldplay coming to Perth was a pretty big deal for everyone. Not as big as the Eclipse for us, but yeah, pretty big.
Where do they play when they play Perth?
They did Optus Stadium, which is a brand new stadium, 60,000 people.
Oh, is that the Swan? The one that has by the
Yeah,
Swan
on the
Bridge?
Swan River, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we drove past that. We did the city tour. Had to do the Perth
Yeah,
city
excellent.
tour, so that was cool. It's just such a far away. Is it like the remotest city
Yeah.
on Earth or something like that?
Yeah, it is because we've got this huge gap in between us and all the other big capital cities. So the Nullabore's in between Western Australia and Adelaide and Melbourne, Sydney, all that. So we are fairly isolated.
And I understand it's a very large city geographically as well.
Yeah, we sprawl. Like we literally, what is covered as Perth per se starts like near Two Rocks, which is like nearly an hour and a half north of Perth city itself. And then it goes all the way down to nearly Mandurah, which is like an hour essentially south. And it's like this huge sprawl. Yeah. So yeah, it's a pretty big city. Not a huge population, just over 2 million, but yeah, big.
It's spread out. Yeah, it's wild. Talk a little bit about your adventure traveling north to Exmouth and how long it took and, did your little pit stops along the way and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so we left from Perth and we stopped in Geraldton, did a broadcast there and got to meet people. And then we went to Carnarvon, did a broadcast there and staying at camper, campsites and stuff along the way in the camper van. I had to sleep in a swag on the outside of the camper van because the two girls were inside the camper van. And so I had to sleep on the outside of the swag.
That's a sleeping bag.
Essentially, yeah. It's like a one-man tent, essentially, a swag. It was humid and not nice. It was very gross. So did that. And then, when we got to Exmouth, we stayed in the spot. It was kind of like they had cleared out this whole patch of land. And it was just red dirt and just camper vans and tents as far as the eye could see. It was an interesting choice. But they did it last minute. They did it, well, not last minute. They planned it, but it looked last minute. But we managed to get a ticket to that. And yeah, it was certainly an experience. For someone like me, I don't camp too much. Yeah. I was like, oh my goodness. After the 3 days, I was like, I need to go home.
Yeah. But you had a little joy to take with you on the way home.
Well, yeah, that was the thing. Like, so we had been chatting in anticipation in the build up to the solar eclipse, to, all sorts of experts, to people who'd seen them before, to people in the cosmic realm of it all, like all sorts to kind of, talk about it on air for our listeners to get a gauge of what a big deal this event was, but also kind of for ourselves to really get the gravity of it all. And then a lot of people like yourself, we met, while we were there to get a vibe as well. And despite all the chats, all the preparation, everything I'd read, because I want to make sure I knew some stuff about it, seeing it was completely just not what I expected. It was a feeling that just kind of like in the build up as that moment where the you can see half the sun is covered. Just that moment alone, it's just like, oh, like something's happening that's not normal. This is amazing. And like you look at your shadow, how crisp it is and sharp. Yeah. And then the actual countdown, everyone's like, oh, and then you hear like, glasses off, and the cheering, just everyone just taking a moment in their heads. It's weird. It's like you can I took moments where I was looking around. I started filming half of it, and then I stopped so I could enjoy it. And I looked around. You can just see people taking a little private moment to enjoy it in between their photos, their videos, their cheering. Everyone took a little half a second, maybe a second of just like. Wow.
Yeah. Well, once that initial contact happens, once that moment happens and there's the big cheer, some people will continue to clap, but it all kind of comes back into this moment of, okay, we're in it now. And there is a moment of silence for many people.
Yeah, it is. Like, it's one of those things. I've been cutting up a lot of audio from that trip because we're doing like a little bit of a wrap up for the end of the year, and some of it is obviously of the eclipse. And you can hear that it's in that moment that I say, it feels like the world and the universe just put on a show for us, and it's just for us. And at the same time of it making you feel so insignificantly small, you feel so huge because it's just you saying it. And it's like, it's funny how you can feel so little, but yet so important, but yet so not important, all at the same time. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. I love it. It's a great description of it. So Leticia has been having some microphone and connectivity issues, but she is going to join us after this break. Totality Talks is sponsored by American Paperwear. It's paper that you wear. In 2017, they became a producer of safe ISO 12312-2 compliant glasses for solar observation. They've expanded their product line to include paper frame sunglasses with optically clear and thin film sunglass lenses. A great promotional platform for your logo, concept, or artwork to make a lasting impression. Use their Solar Eclipse Design Studio app to create your own custom glasses. American Paperwear at ampaperwear.com. Click the link down below. There you go.
Is it better?
Oh, yeah, much better.
Okay, sorry about that.
How are you?
I'm good. Just getting all ready for the one here in Texas.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's not too far away.
No.
It's funny, like, yeah, that we were talking quite a lot about that in Exmouth, about the next one in Texas. And when is it? April?
April 8th.
April 8th.
April 8th. About 11 months after yours.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's and so are you the countdown's on, right? So you're getting all ready.
The countdown's on
from your house. You're gonna be able to see it, or you're gonna travel somewhere a little bit.
I can see it from my backyard, but center line's probably 50 miles away. So we might go to center line. So I've got like 3 places within 50 miles away that are center line. One's kind of south because the way it's coming through Texas, it's like if I face this way, it's coming at a diagonal at me.
Mm-hmm.
So I go 50 miles that way or 50 miles that way. I'm good.
Yeah, wow. That's so good. That's the first convenient total solar eclipse you would have experienced, I imagine.
Yes, it is.
How was the Exmouth travel for you, both of you, to get? Because I mean, not only is Exmouth, for us in regional WA, it's a bit of a effort to get there, but for you guys, certainly an effort, right?
It was. We were on a plane. They chartered a plane for us from Perth to Exmouth.
Cool.
And it was only flew in the day before, 2 or 3 days before.
We were there
2 days before,
1 day after,
and then the day after.
It was 25,000 miles total. Was the round trip.
Wow.
For 1 minute. That's the total round trip.
Back? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because it's halfway around the world and then halfway back. Okay.
All the way around.
And one of you got lost and did a few unnecessary loops, I imagine.
Yeah, maybe.
Those miles up.
Got pretty lucky, actually. We lucked out on some of that. I was talking to Allan about when we met. We were in that bar, the Froth House. We did the interview, and then you and your husband walked in. And I was like, you need to interview that girl right there. And so that happened. And I think you got a little bit of that interview. That's when you told him about the 20 eclipses and all that.
20. I'm crazy. I'm insane. Very insane.
It's a wild number.
It's good. Well, this one in Texas is going to be 21. It'll be old enough to. My eclipse hobby will be old enough to drink.
Because how often are they happening? Like they're like roughly like a year and a half, 2 years, or
on average every 11 to 18 months.
Okay, yeah.
But sometimes you get gaps. Sometimes you get gaps between them.
We get a gap this next time.
Yeah, because we'll see it in 2024, and then it won't be another one until 2026. So it's almost 24 months.
Yeah, that's huge. That's going to be hard for you guys.
Yeah, little sad times.
Oh, no, it's going to give us a breather so I can save some money.
Yeah.
Pay off this one, pay off the last one, and plan for the next one.
We're lucky to have it at home. This is a home game. This next one.
Yes.
And
this is a home game.
And the annular eclipse we just had was a home game
more
too.
Money.
So that was, definitely don't have to travel anywhere.
That was
we
good.
Still have friends that are traveling for April that live up north, and they have to travel if it's so they might as well come down where there's less chance of clouds. And so they're all coming to Texas.
Yeah, I have friends coming in from San Francisco, a group of friends coming in from Canada. Several others are going to be joining me here in Dallas. I've got 10 hotel rooms lined up for my friends and family right now.
Wow.
Everything's going.
So are you going to cash in on the merch? So I imagine you guys, like from all different eclipses you've seen, you would have seen your fair share of good and bad merchandise for sale. There was some doozy in Exmouth. You can really cash in on this moment.
Well, yes and no. I've done a couple of T-shirts that were fails. Talk about bad and good. So I did this great T-shirt, and I wish I had one handy. I did this great T-shirt where it had Texas with iconic things on it, like hats and boots and the Alamo and the McDonald Observatory on it. And then I drew the 2 lines of the crossroads. But my friend just says, "Why do you hate Texas?" Because I was Xing it out. And I've seen other T-shirts like that in the Eclipse community, but the thing is, nobody gets it unless you're in the Eclipse community.
Yeah.
Everyone else thinks
true.
you're making a political statement. And I'm not. I'm just, it's Crossroads Eclipse. No, it's nothing. So,
all right.
I walked into my favorite restaurant with your Umbraphile shirt on. She got me this shirt that says Umbraphile right across the top, and it says, Indian Ocean, April the 20th, 2023, hybrid solar eclipse. And then has like the indigenous names for all the zones in the area it went across. And I got these dirty looks from the wait staff. They're like, and I hear one of them, goes like, "I don't even know what that means." I'm like, well, then maybe you shouldn't be all judgy. File doesn't mean anything. File means good, not bad. File means you're into it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I get audio file. It's a killer.
So I wanted to ask you, did you see it from the beach? Was there in Exmouth, or did you see it inland a little bit?
Well, yeah, inland a little bit. There was this spot that they cleared out all the and they had these little shelters they had put up and stuff, because it's obviously with the sun and how warm she gets. So yeah, it was like this cleared out area, a little bit on a hill. Next to I think it was like some kind of seafood factory or something, but like we didn't cop any of that bad smell, thank goodness. But they cleared the land out, especially for the event. So there was it was a ticketed event, and there was like a kind of lunch thing served or whatever. But yeah, it was, a couple of thousand people checking out from there. It was cool, very cool.
That's very cool. Very cool.
We were hanging out with all the local TV stations had the same setup in that same area as well. So I think everyone had the same idea. Yeah.
That's cool. So they set up a whole network area, news area for you guys. Okay.
We weren't a part of that, but we just wandered over because we kind of do whatever we want. And there was some people there that would set up, this one guy I saw, you probably have seen him in your travels. I forgot his name now, but he had seen a ton of these total solar eclipses before. And he was like an older guy, some doctor or something well established. And yeah, he was the one that was the first to yell off, "Glasses off, glasses off."
Probably Dr. Gordon Telepone.
Probably Dr. Gordon, or could have been
Fred.
He didn't make it.
There was plenty of pros on the beach there.
So I'm curious, when did you first hear about the eclipse was coming? The eclipse was coming.
So I just, with my job, paying attention to local news, we kind of heard about it regarding how much funding was going towards Exmouth to set up for the event. I was like, oh, that's cool. That's kind of that's good. They're investing in Exmouth for this event. Not really knowing how often the total solar eclipses even happen at this point. I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, that sounds good. Oh, it's going to happen there. Oh yeah. And that was pretty much all the thought we kind of had for it. Kind of had a bit of a plan to get there as a radio show to broadcast from there, and it kind of fell apart until we basically last minute, it was really like a couple months out, we're like, you know what, we really should be there. So we last minute hustled a camper van and headed up to Exmouth to do the broadcast from up there.
Okay. Okay, I was just wondering. So that you've heard of Kate Russo, right? You've probably heard her on the radio and seen her TV broadcast. So she was the one that pointed out there's going to be 5 solar eclipses in 15 years across Australia.
Yeah, crazy.
I know.
So you have a chance to see them all.
The next one's 2028.
You don't have to leave your rock, and you can see them all.
I think I'll probably see another one, as long as it's not too much effort to what you guys go to. But it was incredible. It was something that, yeah, it was definitely, I get it. Like, before I saw it and you guys are talking about how you've seen it, especially when you travel during COVID times and all the other dramas in between, I was like, man, I don't know. Like, it seems a bit kind of crazy. And then you see it and you go, all right, I get it.
I get it.
You can't replicate it. It can't be faked. It's that's it. Like, you either see it or you don't see it, and you either feel it or you don't feel it. And everyone who saw it, I think, felt something. I think everyone has an experience. Whether it's different for everyone, of course, but for some people like yourselves, it's definitely a very powerful experience, and I can totally understand why you want to chase the high of it all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Well, as you say, you can't live your life like this all the time. Yeah, and it's like, I'm trying, I'm working on it.
But that's kind of the beauty of it. It's a moment that's predetermined. You know when it's coming, and that is your high. So you build to the high. The anticipation of it all, just booking your flights is that little endorphin rush, and so you're constantly getting these little, like, you know, little boosts along the way. And then of course the crescendo is seeing that moment, whether it's a minute, 30 seconds, 6 minutes, whatever it is, and then it's like, it happened, like, yes, like, that's it. And then you get to sit there for the next months after, reminiscing about it, going through your footage, looking at all the photos, the videos, and you live that high again. Then you're going to chill for another 12 months while you're booking your next one. It makes sense.
You can always go back to it. You know, you can, like, oh yeah.
And then you go back to the ones that you did before, and you go, oh, I remember that. Oh, I remember that. Oh, I remember that.
And it takes you places that you would never go. Like, Exmouth isn't on a lot of people's radar.
That's great.
Like,
yeah.
It's a beautiful place.
It's a beautiful place. It's on mine now because we're looking now for the 2028. I'm going to see about go ahead and doing the camper van thing and coming in and spending a month in Australia and just going up into the Western Australia and going back and spending a week at Exmouth.
Yeah.
Do some diving there. And then I'm looking at Devil's Marbles.
Cool. Yep. Very cool.
I probably want to go back diving on the GBR again.
You've never been, but that'd be very cool.
Oh, it's very cool. And you should. You live. Wait, I'm saying not right there. It's on the other coast. I know it's on the other coast.
But it's just right there.
It's the other side of the country. I know. It's not just right there.
For you guys, it's just right there for me. But for me, I'm like, oh no.
It was there on my way back.
Well, one thing's for certain: it is there wherever there is there.
That's where my 2 feet are.
Yeah.
But there are parts of Australia I haven't seen. So I've seen this. This was my third total solar eclipse in Australia.
Oh wow! Okay, where was the other two?
The other two. The first one was in 2002. It was a real short sunset one, and we saw it near your atomic testing grounds because it was a real skinny line coming just right. It was in the middle. It was in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, sounds like it.
I saw it. And then November 13th, 2012 was over the Great Barrier Reef. So my husband and I saw from my Sandy cat. We saw it. Well, he wasn't even my husband then. But we saw it from the Sandy Cape. He wasn't. It was our first total solar eclipse together.
Yeah.
So this is my third.
So you're saying you're hoping it'd be easy to travel to the next one. So that's 2028. So you'd have to get into the interior of the country.
Yeah. It was like near the Give River Road in the Kimberley, I think it is, when you guys showed me that. So it's a fairly remote part of Western Australia, but it's a beautiful part. It's very red, and it's very cool. But yeah, very remote part of Western Australia. I know it's going all the way through like near Sydney, right? That 2028 one, is that the one?
It starts. It hits the northeastern tip of Western Australia.
Yeah. What time of year is it? What's the date?
It is July the 22nd, 2028.
See, that's the dry season, not too cloudy, which I know you guys love.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, not that time of year, not in Western Australia, because that's dry season.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, where's the time on that? Oh,
yeah. But Sydney can be hit and miss for weather.
Yeah. This one's a 5-minute total. 5 minutes of totality. So
5 minutes. That's cool.
Yeah. Totality Talks is brought to you by TexasEclipses.com, where you can get the book Texas Solar Eclipses. Learn about solar eclipse safety, the total solar eclipse in Texas of 1878, other recent total solar eclipses, how technology influences our experience, and citizen eclipse science then and now. That's TexasEclipses.com. Click the link down below.
Yeah, well, as a novice, someone going into it not knowing what to expect, yeah, it really was something special. And especially from someone like me, I'll be honest, I'm a very skeptical person. I go into a lot of these things going, yeah, we'll see. And then, when it happened, it was like, wow, like, okay. You know, like there was even a little part of it that was like, I kind of want to hate it. I want to be like, but then it ended up being really, really good. So I couldn't hate it, despite my best efforts. And then we had a good night at Frost, getting on the beers. Jeez, it was a good night.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We were just taking a look at all the places. I talked to some teachers today that they're putting together a training, teachers in one of the museums. They're going to do a training session for the teachers in the area on the eclipse. And they were telling me that Denton, which is 99%, is planning on hosting a big event at their stadium.
Football stadium.
And I'm just
That's
cringing. Cool. A football stadium. No, it isn't. They're 99%.
They're not going to see totality.
They're not going to see totality.
We got a stadium.
It'll be a very underwhelming.
Enough. It's a case study. 99.7. That's close enough. No, it's not.
You should do interviews with people. You saw 99%. What did you think? So you did a lot of interviews before and after. Did anything stand out on how people were before the eclipse and then after the eclipse?
Yeah, for the locals, it was a lot of just kind of like, oh yeah, I don't really understand what the big deal is, but you know, like it's nice that people are coming and that sort of thing. And then after, those same people were very much like, yeah, it's pretty cool. It was very actually, to be honest, a lot of them were like, oh yeah, we knew the whole time it was going to be really good. I'm like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. I spoke to you before, you liar. And they're pretending like they totally knew it was going to be as amazing as it was. Yeah, it was one of those things. I think a lot of people, as much as it was, you know, the date's fixed and everyone knows it's coming, it snuck up on them. And they just kind of went, oh, yeah, that's right. And they're like, oh, I wanted to see that. And I didn't get the chance. I chatted to Matt Agnew, who's a very well-known science guy. He's, you know, got a big following. He was on The Bachelor. He's got all sorts of following. And he was jealous as hell that we were going and he didn't get to go. He was so jealous. It was really fun rubbing that in his face. I really enjoyed that.
Why didn't he go?
He literally was trying to, and then there was something with his work that he just actually couldn't go. So he was planning to go to another one, I think he said. But yeah.
Tell him to come to Texas.
All right,
then.
I'll tell him next time I chat to him on air. Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, you gonna go to Texas? Well, he's got, like I said, he's got 4 more chances in the next. Yeah. What is it?
I'm just looking through some of the interviews that we did, and
oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who we caught up with. There was someone from LA that we caught up with, and she claimed that the total solar eclipse is better than sex. And I said, well, I have it about as often.
Now, that's a great eclipse joke right there.
That is a great eclipse joke.
But yeah, it's an expert from the Netherlands. Maybe that was the person you're referring to that I chatted to. There's a lot of you people out there, not as many as in the world grand scheme of things, but certainly a bunch of you crazy peeps out there chasing.
Exmouth, how'd they end up doing? Because I heard reports that they didn't quite do as well because they kind of scared everybody away.
Yeah, they the local town itself was a little disappointed that there was a lot of kind of fear mongering for like, don't come to Exmouth, don't fill up in Exmouth, there's not enough resources, the internet's going to struggle, like there's going to be all these issues. And a lot of people did heed those warnings, and unfortunately a lot of people went, all right, well, I'm not going to Exmouth then because it's hectic. I think overall it went okay, but just I think that kind of that would have been the last big kind of boost didn't come in because people were too scared to go near it because of the warnings. I think the warnings were somewhat justified to a degree, but I think it went a little bit more crazier than even they were expecting. But, you know, you're in Exmouth. It was only a small place. You know, once you had everyone that was already there, it was pretty busy for Exmouth, a very tiny little town. So if everyone had come here like originally, that like what might have happened, it could have gone pretty hectic. They had plans, but, you know, Exmouth is a weird kind of place where you kind of have to drive up to it. There's only kind of one road that goes into Exmouth if you're driving. So if you drive up the road, you don't have enough fuel to get back, then what are you doing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're saying there will be no petrol.
Yeah.
There will be no food.
Well, there
will be no services
Yep.
at all. And
because I was...
Yeah, if you had twice as many people there, it would start to squeeze that. And I think they were expecting 50, and they got 15. Was that the final number? Did you ever get a...
Yeah, I didn't get the final number, but I heard that it was a success. But yeah, I didn't get the actual final result. Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, anything that was ticketed was sold out.
Good.
You know, so to me, that says success. It's all the extras that didn't happen. But anything that was ticketed was sold out. Any trying to get accommodation in Exmouth, impossible. So as far as that goes, you can't do better than sold out.
No, that's excellent. That's excellent. So accommodations were all sold out. The only thing that didn't fill up then was the overflow camps.
It was pretty full where I was.
Okay.
Yeah, very full.
Well, I thought they did a great job getting people around because I was able to catch the bus from the place that we were staying at and go into town, go shopping, have beers, come back. I thought it was very, very well run.
Yeah. No,
with the public transport and everything like that.
The concerts they put on were awesome. Like, yeah, they did a great job for, you know, eclipse chasers and just tourists alike. I think they did a fantastic job.
What kind of after effects or, you know, how did the cleanup go? Were there any negative or positive vibes coming out of the whole experience?
Yeah, no, it's all positive. Like I said, like to hear like they didn't quite get the numbers they're after, like that's surprising to me because I didn't hear any negative, not too many negatives come out of it. It was, you know, WA Tourism have been working very hard to bounce back after COVID. And the Eclipse was one of the many events that they've been putting on. They're getting the WWE here for a wrestling pay-per-view in February next year. They got Coldplay here. The only concerts they did in Australia was in Perth because the WA Tourism. So this was just another one of those big events that are like, if we're doing it, we're doing it. And they, you know, put the resources in and, you know, the buses you speak of and everything else in between. They made sure they delivered. At the time, the premier of the state was in China. And we got to hang out with the tourism minister, Roger Cook, who is now the premier of the state. He's now taken over. And so he was there for the eclipse, the premier. It was a big deal. And they definitely put the money into it to make sure it, you know, went well. And from all reports, it was great. When I chatted to Roger Cook a few months later, he had nothing but good things to say. He loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Excellent. And then there were some upgrades and stuff for the city that were permanent.
Absolutely. That's the thing with infrastructure. When you go to build to accommodate these people, you can't take it all away. So some things left there. Like they did a huge cleanup, very, you know, streets and all this sort of stuff prior to it. And Exmouth definitely benefited from it.
Good. Because it's a lovely town. Like I said, I'm planning on visiting them in 2028.
I think also it put Exmouth on the radar, like on the world stage as well, because of, you know, it's like there was footage everywhere, like CNN, BBC, all across the world. And all the people are just going, Exmouth looks pretty good.
Yeah.
It looks nice.
It's the only place
it does. It looked great.
On dry continental Earth that you can go to see it. Let's all go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna, like I said, I think I'm gonna get a caravan and head out there. Hit Western Australia as part of it instead of going to Sydney. Like you said, Sydney's gonna be further south. It's gonna be possibly cloudier and everything else. I think I'm going to go to Western Australia.
Cuts right across the central part. And so I don't know. I think it's north of Ayers Rock, and that's like either you're taking that train that I heard so many lovely things about.
The GAN?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of people's bucket list kind of thing. The GAN, it's a classic train, goes right through Australia. Yeah, my parents I think wanted to do it as well. Like a lot of people just kind of go, yeah, one day.
I think it's like 9 days or something.
Something like that. I actually did the GAN back in 2002 for my first trip to Australia.
You love it?
I did the GAN. I loved it. We were in with a bunch of Brits. We were on, it was Explorers, which is the granddaddy of the tour company that I use for Astro, another company I use. And we were on with the Brits, and my first husband was just a big, boisterous Texan. So you could just see all these Brits just kind of snickering at him. But he was just, happily clueless and being a Texan. But we loved, that was a beautiful trip.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Do you see many camels?
We saw a few camels. I rode a camel.
Cool.
And then we saw lots of kangaroos. Mm-hmm. Bought 2 didgeridoos, which I still have.
Very cool.
And your southern skies were amazing.
Yeah, look at the Southern Cross, obviously on our Australian flag.
Yes. We saw the Southern Cross on the flag and in the sky.
Because in America, your stars aren't actually a constellation. They're just, they're just there.
It's just a star that, it's right there and we rotate around.
Well, they're all perfectly evenly distributed. Yeah.
Is that what that is?
Well, have you heard about the new thing called the Sphere in Las Vegas?
I have. It looks incredible.
Kind of like that.
I haven't. What is it?
Oh, it's this huge, like a performance center with LEDs on the outside and LEDs on the inside. And U2 is playing a residency there. Completely, there's a tiny little stage, and the entire inside ceiling round sphere, almost like a planetarium.
Yeah.
Digital, screen, and they make it look like it's sunset, and you're looking out over the countryside or mountains, and it's over the top crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's on the outside they make it look like a sun with like a face, and it like looks at things, and it's like, yeah, it's getting a bit of like pop culture love because it's this hilarious little cheeky sun that's kind of like looking out at people. But it's I tell you what, you wouldn't want to be going stargazing anywhere near Vegas with all that light pollution. It'd be absolutely awful.
Oh, no. The dark skies are down in Arizona. They're not in Nevada.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Northern Nevada, not south. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look into that because I'd love to see U2, and I'd also love to see Aerosmith.
Oh yeah, I saw U2 years ago at Subiaco in Perth. They were great.
Oh, awesome.
All right, so one last one. What was your strangest encounter with a tourist? I mean, besides us, of course.
That's a good one.
Besides meeting us.
That's a good one.
Strange is a strong word. I think.
Yeah, something unique. What was your most unique experience with a?
No, I'll go with strange. I want to go strange because it was all strange until the eclipse happened. Because I didn't get it. So when I'm meeting, people like yourself and all these other people and chatting to them on the phone and in the anticipation, it just doesn't sound like it's correct when they're kind of referring to this moment being so important and so special. And you're just like, what do you mean you're traveling this far? Like, okay. And so right up until the point, you're like, everyone's strange who's there, particularly for that reason. Then you see it and then you go, okay. Like, okay, now I'm 100% on board. Now I understand why you do it. It's still wild, but is it strange anymore? No. Now it's just like, man, it's cool that you're that passionate. It's it corrects itself very quickly from strange to, you're almost envious of people like yourself who have this calling in life and this purpose of like, this is my thing. This is what I'm going for every 18 months or whatever it is roughly. It's very cool. Individuals. Man, some of the Exmouth locals, they're characters all by themselves.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, the interesting people we met, our tour bus driver, is also our snorkel guide. And
that's what I mean. That is perfect.
Yeah, he was a former park ranger. And so he knew everybody when we were going through the park. And he's like, okay, we got 2 vans because we got the COVID people in the second van. And we only got 1 permit, so let me sweet talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, I was a paramedic. And then an older man has a heart attack out snorkeling. And everybody freaks out. And they pull him to shore. And our van driver / national parks guy /
EMT /
guy goes over there and performs CPR on the guy. The man didn't make it, but it took him an hour to get an ambulance out there because you're in the middle of freaking nowhere.
Yeah.
Like 45 minutes.
Just hectic. That's people wearing many hats. Exmouth. Yep.
Yeah.
That guy was good. Neil something. He's with the Exmouth snorkel team. But what's interesting is we're driving back, and he's like, yep, that's what happened. That's the job. He's like, I had to go into paramedic mode. And so people are like, well, what was the state of the person? He's like, there are children on this bus, so I'd rather just not talk about it. Let's just, go back to the normal tour.
I didn't make it. Oh, that's, I don't know. That's the way I want to go. Misadventures out of the country is the way I want to go anyway.
Doing what you love.
Yeah, is that you kind of know when the eclipses are coming in advance? You can obviously figure out how old you're getting and where you'll be at certain ages. Is there an end game a little bit where you go, I want to wrap it up here, or is that's the last one I'm probably going to be able to see in my lifetime? Have you kind of figured that out and in a way almost romanticized it?
Yes, I have. I've got, my target is 50 total solar eclipses when I'm 102.
That's cool. 102. Hopefully there's no stairs that you need to climb to get to the viewing place. My retirement plan is to take up teaching yoga, so I can stay limber and be able to... You'll still be yogaing around?
There's people that are doing yoga, teaching yoga at 102 right now.
I'm 36. I ain't doing that. I barely touch my nose with my finger.
If you did, you might live to 102.
Oh no, sounds too much work for me, to be honest. It's not worth it. Not worth it.
Oh, for me it is. I actually love yoga. It's one of the few regrets that I have in my life are both things that I didn't start sooner. I didn't start chasing eclipses sooner, and I didn't start doing yoga.
Yeah, but you know what? You're doing it now.
2 of the bigger regrets. I'm doing it now.
Doing it now.
I'm doing it now. Well, I believe.
This has been a great time, and we have to get Allan into the path of the 2028 eclipse. That should be pretty simple.
Yeah, that one doesn't sound too hard for me. Let's do that.
Yeah, let's just do that.
I love it. I look forward to 2028. Until then, clear skies.
Yeah, hey, clear skies to you.
Thanks so much for your time, Allan.
Get around it. Hit breakfast with Allan and Carly. Get us on the listener app. We need the downloads.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. That was fun.
All right.
Brought back a lot of memories.
Love it. Not too easy. Awesome, guys. All right, thank you.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Okay.
No, awesome. Good luck editing it.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Just stop me.
Well, that's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed our back and forth with Allan. Did he just ask us more questions than we asked him? True radio pro right there. In our next episode, we have the pleasure of chatting with another Australian, clinical psychologist, eclipse chaser, and community event planner extraordinaire, Dr. Kate Russo. We are fortunate enough to have her in for a long-form conversation. This is guaranteed to be a deep dive, where we talk about the psychology of totality. Clear skies.